Vital knowledge, clear explanations, and simplified answers about the rules of Islam to enable English-speaking Muslims to understand Islam properly and implement it correctly. Join Sh.Assim Alhakeem on Ask Zad, coming live to you on Zad TV at the following times. Our media partner, Huda TV.
A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala al-mab'uthi rahmatan lil alameen. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to this new episode of Ask Zad, coming to you live from Zad Studios here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Our first question is from the emails. Rahmat says, can you say or write on the property wall, Ma sha Allahu la quwwata illa billah, to ward off evil eye on a property being built? And if it is incorrect, then what should a person say or write on the property to ward off evil eye? This is becoming a trend, unfortunately, among a lot of the Muslims, especially when they have like big mansions, big houses or buildings. They write on the entrance, Ma sha Allahu la quwwata illa billah. And some would write, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ, or قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ. So is this action permissible? The answer is, this is not part of the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ and his companions had properties. They lived in houses. And some were very rich, like Uthman ibn Affan, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, Abdurrahman ibn Zubayr, Talha ibn Ubaidillah, and Zubayr ibn al-Awwam. They were very rich. Yet never ever reported to us that they wrote such statements on their properties, which means that it is an innovation. The need to ward off evil eye was present at their times. And they had the means to write, but they didn't, which indicates that this is not permissible. And it may reach even to the level of wearing ta'weez, an amulet, because people who put it there, put it with the same intention of a ta'weez, to be protected. And this is not permissible. Saying, Allahumma barik, or Ma sha Allahu la quwwata illa billah, or Tabarakallah, or Qul a'udhu rabbil falaq, or a'udhu bin nas. This words of evil eye, if it was read with the intention, not just reading it, someone who passes by and reads it, he's not doing it for the sake of protection, it would not have any value. So the question would be, what is the best thing to do in order to ward off such evil eye? The answer is to observe your daily adhkar. In computers, we have antivirus, and it always says to us, you are protected. The adhkar is Allah's protection to us. So when you say your adhkar in the evening, in the morning, after the 5 daily prayers, before going to bed, and before leaving your home, when you say it, you are, with the grace of Allah, protected. Part of the adhkar of the morning and evening, you say, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-afwa wal-afiyah, Allahumma as'aluka al-afiyah في ديني ودنياي ومالي وأهلي. So you're asking Allah Azza wa Jal for protection, for health, for forgiveness in the dunya and in the hereafter, in your body, in your wealth, in your family, and in your religion. All of this governs and protects, insha'Allah, your property and your children as well if you observe this dua. Dr. Muhammad says, I'm keeping a beard and lately have started increasing its length. It's curly and my father says that I should trim it slightly so that it appears nice and not haphazard. I'm worried. Please guide. It is not permissible, Dr. Muhammad, to trim the beard according to the most authentic opinion. There are two authentic or strong opinions. One stating that it is prohibited, and the other stating that it is permissible, providing that you grab a fist and cut what exceeds of it. So this is the limit. Not the other way around, that people do this and they cut on top. No, it's from the bottom. And I support the opinion that says that one should not trim it or take anything off it. Now, in your case, you can put softeners, you can put relaxers or whatever they call them on your beard so that it would not become curly, it would be straight, providing that it's not harmful for you. And there's nothing wrong in taking care of it, combing it, brushing it, shampooing it, even putting conditioner on it. There's no problem, none whatsoever in that, inshallah. Mustafa from India.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Sheikh, how are you?
I am fine, Zakallah khair, Mustafa Bhai. What can I do for you?
Okay, Sheikh, actually I have a lot of questions, but I will start by Salat. Like, first, sometimes I should pray Zuhr Salat in masjid, but if I'm praying in masjid, I should give the 4 rakat before the Salat itself. But if I'm not able to catch it from at the masjid, I used to pray at home. While before praying at home, I used to pray the 4 rakat or so. Then after I will give my 4 rakat Zuhr, then I will give the 2 rakat Sunnah if I'm praying at home. So I'm asking, is it part of the Sunnah to do that, or am I doing by mistake innovation?
Okay.
That's my first question.
Do you have an...
Second question also, for example, someone makes mistake while reciting in Salat, and I'm alone, like there's no one to correct me. How would I proceed further for that? That's the second question.
Are you the imam, Mustafa, or your follower?
Pardon?
Are you the imam or the follower? Who's making the mistake in recitation?
I'm alone in my place. I'm alone.
So you make a mistake in reciting the Quran?
Yeah, sometimes, even if I'm repeating the surah, but sometimes there's a little bit mistake. I have to finish the prayer, then take my musaf, then check it.
Okay.
So if I pronounce it correctly.
Okay. Third.
Another one, like, that's my second question. My third question is, if I finish my prayer, like I finish the namaz, the sunnah is like saying astaghfirullah, 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 Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam, tabarakta ya zil jalal wal ikram. But I heard one sheikh last time telling that when you finish the salat, you have to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his most beautiful name. So I started saying astaghfirullah al-azim, astaghfirullah al-hakeem. Sometimes I used to add some beautiful name of Allah. Then I would say Allahumma anta salam. After that, tabaraka ya zil jalal wal ikram. I used to say that. Then I said, let me just ask if I'm making any mistake or is an innovation. That's my third question. And my fourth question is regarding this dua. After Isha, saying that Allahumma ajinna minan nar 7 times, that anyone who believes, because I read that hadith last time when I was taking when I was reading, I read that hadith saying that anyone who says that Allahumma ajinna minan nar 7 times and believe on it, if he dies before the morning, inshallah, that he will go to paradise.
Okay.
In the morning also,
Okay, I got your question.
After Fajr.
I got your question, Mustafa.
Okay, sure. And I want to advise regarding one situation also.
To what?
Advice.
Okay.
Regarding one situation. My friend is living in France, so he wants to get engaged. So he gave me, like, since he's my best friend, he told me that you can find any word for me, inshallah, that I will take it. I said, okay, no problem. Then I'm having one of my friends in England. She is married already. I explained the case to her. She proposed one of her friends also in Germany, that is living there in Germany. She said that I can speak to that girl, like I can explain the situation. So she sent me her contact. I tried to explain to her, but she told me directly to put her in contact with my friend. I said no. I told her to involve like one of the responsible, like her mother, her father, one of her brother. Then later on, she sent me the contact of one of her sisters. When I put that number in my phone, I realized that sister also is a youth. So I'm asking, can you just advise me how to proceed if I have to continue, because I don't want to violate any law, inshallah.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. I think we have taken almost quarter of the episode for your questions, so we will stop here, inshallah, if it's okay with you. Okay, Mustafa. Mustafa had a number of questions, and the first question is, if someone misses the fard salah in congregation for a legitimate reason, and he is about to pray home, then the sequence remains. He prays the sunnah, the fard, then the sunnah afterwards. And this is for dhuhr. So he prays 2, then another 2. This is the sunnah before dhuhr. 4 rak'ah of dhuhr after doing iqamah. Then 2 rak'ah after dhuhr for sunnah. This is providing that the time is open and asr time is not squeezing in. So in normal cases, yes, this is what you should do. His second question is that he sometimes makes a mistake when praying alone. So what is he supposed to do? Should he reach out for a copy of the Quran and check his recitation while in prayer? In fard prayer, no, there's no need to do this, because this is access of movement. What to do? If you make a mistake and you don't know what to say afterwards, say Allahu Akbar and go for ruku'. Interrupt your recitation and go for ruku'. Better safe than sorry. Then he says that someone told him he should mention the beautiful names of Allah after prayer. And this is wrong. This is an innovation. The sunnah is to say 3 times astaghfir immediately after saying Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. The Prophet used to say immediately Astaghfirullah, 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 Allahumma anta as-salam wa minka as-salam, tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Then he turns and face the congregation. This is the sunnah. What people do immediately after salam by saying Allahu Akbar, and then they say Astaghfirullah, this is also wrong. I've seen this in India. A lot of the brothers there raise their voices with takbir. And this is against the sunnah. And they quote a hadith of Ibn Abbas that we used to know the end of the prayer by takbir in the masjid. And this is not referring to the immediate end of the prayer. This is in reference to Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Wallahu Akbar. When you do it 33 times, and they call all of this as takbir, though it is tahmeed and a tasbih, but they use one name for all. So what your so-called scholar said is an innovation, is strong. His fourth question was about saying 7 times, Allahumma ajirni minan nar. He said after Isha. And what is circulating among the people is in the morning and the evening, which is after Fajr and after Maghrib. And the hadith itself is weak. Saying it 7 times is not authentic. The authentic hadith is, whoever seeks refuge in Allah from hellfire 3 times, hellfire would say, oh Allah, protect him from me. And in this hadith, likewise in Jannah, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-Jannah 3 times, I ask you Jannah. This is what Jannah would say, oh Allah, grant him admission to Jannah. But also this hadith, saying it 3 times, is not related to the morning and evening adhkar. It is indefinite, so you can say it whenever you want, however you want. His 5th question is a long one about a friend in France wanting to get married to a woman in England, and he had to speak to a 3rd party in Germany, and then he saw that it's going to be mixed up. People in Europe, some of the Muslims are a little bit loose in their religious practice. So she wanted, her sister wanted to speak to the potential suitor, and he feels that this may lead somewhere bad and it's not safe. So he's asking what to do. Akhi, cut all communications. If the brother is serious, he should speak to the parents of the girl directly and then establish communication. Until now, it's not Brexit yet, so he can travel from France to the UK. It's across the channel, meets the father. If the father is happy and checks on him, then he can meet the girl and they have the initial interview. But to involve girls in it and non-mahrams and speaking, even if the cause is good, this is not a wise thing to do. A sister says, my husband is addicted to Facebook and he chats with girls inappropriately. I caught him red-handed and he apologized, but went back to it. What should I do? First of all, this is unfortunately a common sin among the Muslims. This addiction to Facebook, to Twitter, to Snapchat, to Instagram, to YouTube, they sometimes are far more dangerous than addiction to drugs and to intoxicants. Because when someone is consuming drugs or intoxicants, he knows this is taking him to hell. But with those people indulged in social media and the likes, they don't think that they're doing something that is serious. They're just killing time. And what did time do to you so that it deserved to be killed? They're just killing time and they are having fun and not noticing that shaitan has taken control over them. He has pulled their legs until now they are leading shaitan. And shaitan is telling them, hey, whoa, what are you doing? They are far exceeding the expectations, unfortunately. So you have to tackle this with wisdom and with care, because not everything is resolved by divorce or by making his life hell on earth. So what to do? As long as he apologized the first time, this means that this person, in essence, is a good person. He's pure. He has this fear in Allah. Otherwise, I know tons of men who would be defined to say it's none of your business. So talk to him in a nice way. Tell him, how would you feel if I were to also indulge myself in chatting with other men on Facebook? Would you think that this is normal? And of course, he would be jealous and angry with you, but just try to open his mind and to logic things to him. And I would recommend that you, quote unquote, exhaust him totally when it comes to, the private issues between a man and his wife. Consume all of his strength so that he would not even have a moment on these platforms or to look for chit-chatting with girls. And this usually works pretty well, inshallah. Abu Safwan from Kuwait.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How
Salam wa rahmatullah. How are you and how are the people in Kuwait?
Yes. Long time, alhamdulillah, long time. You see, we were very anxious about this channel.
Barakallah feek.
Allah make it easy, inshallah. Allah give jaza to all you guys, inshallah. Sheikh, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Like it is my personal, me and my family. We used to do whenever we have some problems, though I'm not supposed to because the nature of the question I am mentioning this, when we have some issues, we used to do sadaqa, you see, and we cut and we cook and we give it to some, orphan's house or some other poor people. But we heard one, one clip from one sheikh. They said this sadaqa is not allowed every now and then, because you are having kind of, impression that because of this your things are going away, evil things and all those. So can we do quite often this sadaqa, or we not supposed to do it?
Okay.
This is my question.
Okay.
And the other question, Sheikh, I need to talk to you about something personal. I need your number.
Okay, the brothers in the control will give you my number, inshallah. Or the brothers in Kuwait, they have my number. You can WhatsApp me and I'll give you a call, inshallah.
And they will ask you, then they will give me. That's right.
Inshallah. The brothers in the control will give you my mobile number, inshallah.
Okay,
Jazakallah khair, Abu Safwan.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Okay, Abu Safwan, he heard from some video clip a sheikh saying that sadaqah should not be given every now and then. I personally do not know the origin of this restriction or prohibition. On the contrary, the Prophet ﷺ so often advised and recommended and highly praised those who give in the day and the night, every now and every then. And he even went to say, protect yourself from hellfire, even by giving in charity half a date. So charity is highly recommended. Charity and sadaqah is always praised by Allah Azza wa Jal, who takes it and multiplies it until it becomes like a mountain. And probably Abu Safwan misheard the speaker, because giving a vow, a nadhr, this is not recommended. See, when it's a form of exchange, oh Allah, if you cure my child, I will slaughter a cow and give it to the poor. If my son passes the exams, I will fast 3 consecutive days. If I get a new job, I will perform Hajj this year. So this is a vow. This is a nadhr. I'm pledging something that Allah has not obliged it upon me. And this is what the Prophet said, ﷺ, that you should not make a vow, because making a vow is a means where Allah the Almighty extracts and takes money from a miser, from someone who's stingy, who otherwise would not have offered this. Therefore, one should not take such a vow. But if my son is sick, or if I'm having problems or calamities, or my family are undergoing something that is bothering them, and they go and pay sadaqah, feed people, give charity, there's nothing wrong in that, none whatsoever. The Prophet had said, ﷺ, charity in secret, where no one knows about it, extinguishes the wrath of Allah Azza wa Jal, the anger of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is something that is highly recommended, and there's no problem in that, insha'Allah. So I'd advise you, Abu Safwan, to go through it and listen to that clip again. Maybe you misunderstood something, or maybe I missed something, so that we can, inshallah, talk about it. Doughty asks a question about wudu. Is running wet fingers between the fingers and the toes obligatory in wudu? This is the sunnah. The question goes on, but I don't have to read it all. The sunnah is when I wash my hands, that I put my fingers in between the fingers. And when I wash my feet, I put my fingers in between the toes. And why do I do this? To ensure that the water reaches the area. So this is a highly recommended sunnah. However, if a person opens his hands like this, I hope the camera gets the short shot so that people would see it. If a person opens his fingers like this and he washes it, 100% the water is reaching the area in between. And the toes, the same thing. So there is no need, if a person skips putting his fingers in between his fingers and his toes, there's no problem, none whatsoever. And this is an issue of dispute among scholars. Do I have to rub what I wash, or just putting it under the faucet and ensuring that the water reached everything is sufficient? The answer is, the water is sufficient. You don't have to rub it, but if you rub it, it's an extra plus for you. The name is quite difficult. Aziz, probably from India?
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Salam to Allah. Is it Aziz?
I'm Asif, not Aziz.
Asif, I'm afraid of the name, Akhi, so
no problem.
Do forgive me. Yes, what can I do for you?
Yes, sir, actually, I have some questions.
Yes.
The first question is regarding, sometimes if I am asleep and I miss morning prayer, and I got up, for example, after an hour, after last, I will do my prayer. But regarding adhkar, is it still time to do adhkar in morning adhkar, or time is gone for that?
Okay. Any questions more?
And second question, second question is regarding, for example, I am following, there is a app, Hisnul Muslim, in which there are dua for morning, evening, and all. So I usually do recite that. So there is a dua, like 10 times we have to do Darood, small Darood, Allahumma salli wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. So when I'm doing this, do I have to include sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or Allah, this is enough? I don't need to add.
Okay. Any more?
And the last question is, sorry, the last question is regarding, I have a friend, and we usually talk, and where we stuck is regarding hadith. He told that regarding Quran it is okay, but as far as hadith is concerned, even the most authentics started getting collected after 200 years from the death of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there are chances that we are assuming it is correct, but it may not be correct. Regarding the authenticity, we cannot be assured as much as we have for Quran, but and I don't have a good answer. So what to say for this?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Hayyakallah, barakallah feek. Zainab from Gambia.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Salam wa rahmatullah barakatuh.
Sir, I want to ask this question. Can I take an interest-based loan in which half of the loan is waived so that I would pay just half during the time of payment?
Okay. Any more questions?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
I will answer you, inshallah. Asis has or had 3 questions. The first one, when someone... Okay. I will come to your questions, Brother Asis, after the break, so stay tuned, inshallah.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam reminded us through his guidance and example that Islam is complete submission to the will of Allah. For one who submits, a mere declaration or display of belief will not be taken for success, but his or her heart and soul will certainly be put to test. Allah tested the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam severely in order that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes an example for his companions to follow. Similarly, he tests the believer to see whether he lives a righteous life in accordance with the instructions and commands set by Allah, or lives according to what his desires dictate. Whether the faith he displays is firmly rooted in his heart, or is it merely on the surface. He will be tested to see whether he will continue to have faith and love of Allah when in a calamity, as he does when in comfort, whether he will continue to remember and worship him if given bounties, and comforts of life as he does when he lives a modest life, Allah will undoubtedly test him to see if his faith, trust and love of him is unconditional, or is it conditioned upon good health and a comfortable life, free from stress and anxiety. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us through his own example that for a righteous Muslim, this life is a testing ground where he will continue to be tested until he meets Allah. For him, tests will be conducted on earth while he lives, and not after he dies. He knows that as soon as death arrives and he steps into the next world, his tests are over. There, he only receives the result of his tests and enjoys the fruits of the deeds that he committed during a short span of time called life.
Vital knowledge, clear explanations, and simplified answers about the rules of Islam to enable English-speaking Muslims to understand Islam properly and implement it correctly. Join Sh.Assim Alhakeem on Ask Zad, coming live to you on Zad TV at the following times. Our media partner, Huda TV.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. So, I think we have Abdullah from Pakistan. Abdullah, are you still with us?
Yes.
Yes, what can I do for you, my friend?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am 13 years old.
Okay.
If I have an issue in understanding some problem about Islam,
okay,
who should I follow? My parents or some other scholar?
Okay.
Because my parents are not scholars.
All right.
Yes,
Any more
that's my
questions?
question. Yes.
Okay, I will answer inshallah. So going back to brother As's question, waking up after Fajr an hour late, what should he do? You should pray the Sunnah 2 rak'ahs, make Iqamah, pray the Fard 2 rak'ahs, and then you make your Adhkar. He says, isn't this too late for the Adhkar? Adhkar works from Fajr prayer till the evening. Then you protected the whole time. If you say it at 11 o'clock, then before 11 o'clock, from Fajr till 11 o'clock, you're not protected. So yes, whenever you wake up, you say it without any problem. Second question, he says that in Hasn al-Muslim, there is a recommendation to recite the durood, the salutation to the Prophet 10 times. Is it sufficient to say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad? Or should I say Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad, the full thing? First of all, the hadith you're referring to was authenticated by Shaykh al-Albani in the beginning. And the hadith goes by, whoever offers salutation upon me 10 times in the morning and 10 times in the evening, then he will attain my intercession, the Prophet says, as-salam. Later on in his life, Shaykh al-Albani, may Allah have mercy on his soul, revised his authentication of the hadith and came up with the conclusion that the hadith was not authentic. And this shows you that he is a scholar. Other people would have shrugged their shoulders and moved on. So what? I've already said it's authentic. I cannot go and retract what I've said. This is shameful for me in front of everybody else, everyone else. But not Shaykh al-Albani, because he, as we presume in him, and Allah hasibuhu azza wa jal, that he was one of the great scholars of Islam, he retracted his authentication and said, no, the hadith is weak. So my advice to you is not to say it anymore at these specific times, 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening. But you can offer salutation to the Prophet ﷺ as many as you wish throughout the day and night. So whenever you hear his name, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, you offer salutation. And this is why we, Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah, are the most happy and lucky people, because every time we study the Sunnah, we mention his name, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we offer this salutation. His third question, that one of his friends is insinuating that the hadith is not authentic, it's not perfect, we cannot trust the hadith, while the Quran we can trust. So he says, I do not know what to answer him. He says that hadith was compiled 200 years after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. And this alone shows how ignorant your friend is. Your friend does not even know the basics of Sunnah. He doesn't know when the hadith was recorded. The hadith was recorded at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. There were two competing in narrating the hadith. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, and Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. Abu Hurairah says, I used to memorize the hadith, but Abdullah used to write more than me. Meaning that Abdullah used to write, Abu Hurairah used to memorize. So the writing was there. And there are a number of hadiths where the Prophet ﷺ ordered the companions to write a document for Abu Shah, for example, who came and said, O Prophet of Allah, he interrupted the Friday sermon and said, O Prophet of Allah, write to me. These things, what you're saying, there are so many. So the Prophet ordered them to write for him. And Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, when they asked him, did the Prophet ﷺ give you and your lineage, your family, something special hidden from us? So he took a piece of paper from his holster and said, nothing except what is found in this piece of paper, and in it some instructions of the blood money, of the inheritance, and some hadiths written. And this was shared by the people, not only for him, but he had it written down. So what your friend is saying is totally absurd, and the hadith was written as early as, documented as the year 80 or 80 plus Hijrah, which had a lot of companions available. Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on his soul, died, if I'm not mistaken, on the year 150. He died, and he compiled hadith. And on that year, Imam Shafi'i was born, and we know that he compiled also the hadith. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal was before the year 200, and he compiled hadith. Dar al-Qutni, Imam al-Bukhari, and Imam Muslim, all of them were around or before these 200 years. And the companions, the tabi'een, the tabi'in were all over the place. So there is no need to argue with someone who's ignorant, who does not know the history, and who does not know the Quran. If this brother claims that the Quran is fine and we're okay with it, he's falsifying the Quran, because the Quran tells us to go and refer to the Prophet ﷺ. This is the Sunnah. Without the Sunnah, you cannot understand the Quran. Allah tells us in the Quran to pray. Does He tell us to pray in the Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha specifically or generally? Does He tell us that Fajr is 2 rak'ahs, Maghrib is 3 and the rest are 4? No. So where do we get this from? Where do we get the amount of zakat? Where do we get the lots of prohibitions except from the Sunnah, and how things are done except in the Sunnah? And the list goes on and on. Zainab from Gambia says, is it permissible to take an interest-based loan where I'll pay only half of it? The answer is no. This is totally prohibited. It is one of the major 7 sins in Islam. Usury or riba is one of the major sins in Islam, that the Prophet ﷺ cursed those who take it, and those who give it, and those who register it, the accountants, and the 2 witnesses who just witness and testify that we've seen the transaction. They haven't been paid anything. Just for witnessing it, they are all cursed and they are all alike. So no, the answer is you cannot, Sister Zainab, take that by any means. Shihab from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
I wanted to ask about my grandfather back in Pakistan. He's ill, but he always go to pray in the mosque, but the rest of his time is spent indoor at home. So I wanted to know some recommendation about exercise from an Islamic point of view.
So let me.
He has diabetes and frequent.
How old is he?
Headache.
How old?
Sorry?
How old is your grandfather?
It's about, I think, 67.
And which prayers does he skip?
For every prayer, 5 prayers.
Friday prayers?
No, every prayers, every day.
Okay, why? Yani he's unable to go and walk?
Yeah, he's able to walk, but I don't know. I think it's like lazy. I don't know why.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Any more questions, Shihab?
Another question is, is the day of Ashura considered a day of happiness? Or because my father was saying that the same day the Prophet's nephew died. Like.
Okay, any more questions?
So no.
I will answer you, inshallah.
Okay, Jazak.
Wajazak. Abdullah from Pakistan is 13 years of age, and he is, mashallah, a smart young man. He had a question, and he went to the right people, inshallah, to ask, while the millions of Muslims just sit there and do nothing. He took action, which means that he's positive, mashallah, and he has a very bright future in front of, ahead of him. Now, his question is that my parents are not scholars, and I find scholars saying things while my parents say otherwise. Who should I follow? At this stage, Abdullah, you have to follow your parents until you reach a level of knowledge where you can differentiate between what the scholars are saying and what your parents are saying. So now they tell you you have to do this, and the scholars say, no, you must not do that. And you do not know where either party is coming from the Quran or Sunnah. You don't have evidence. If your parents come up with an evidence, then you can hold on to that. If the scholars come up with an ayah from the Quran or from the hadith that orders you to do something, and your parents tell you not to do it, then you have to come back to them with politeness, with respect, and ask them. Yani, for example, you want to go and pray in the masjid. The scholars say it is an obligation. The Prophet ﷺ did not even pardon a blind man from attending the khutbah, the daily prayers. And he said, do you hear the adhan? The man said, yes. Then you have to respond. So you go to your parents, and your parents say, no, don't go. We will look into their reasons. Why you don't want me to go? They say, because this will affect your studies. It's an invalid reason. We don't want you to go because from here to the masjid, it's very dangerous. So-and-so, and our neighbor so-and-so, and our relative so-and-so were kidnapped. And then a ransom was sought after until they paid the ransom and they got their child back. And this is happening. It used to happen. Now I think Pakistan is much a safer place, alhamdulillah, and a lot of these crimes are no longer. They have a good grip on security. So yani, even the terrorists don't find a nice breathing place to breathe in. Alhamdulillah. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect Pakistan and the people of Pakistan, and to protect Islam in Pakistan. But if this is their excuse, then this is a valid excuse if they're afraid of that. So you have to look into it. Basically speaking, you have to study more, Abdullah. You have to learn your religion more. You have to learn how to evaluate the evidences from your parents and from the scholars, and also how to overcome your own feelings and desires at this age, which is early, but keep on learning the Quran, learning the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and eventually, inshallah, Allah will guide you without any problem. Shihab from the UK says that his grandfather is 67 years of age and he does not go to pray in the masjid. And this is problematic. A lot of the elders, when they reach a certain age, shaitan controls them. So a person that is in his mid-70s, who used to pray every single prayer, and now he fell a little bit sick. So he became so lazy that he doesn't even attend Jum'ah. And when you go and talk to him, what's wrong with you? He says, nothing, but khalas, I'm too old. Subhanallah, when people reach this age, they give everything they have because they've reached at the end of the race. Horses and sprinters, when they come to the line where the end is, they don't fall back and relax. They give everything and they just push their necks and their chests forward to reach the line at the end. Now, if you are this old and you relax as if you've guaranteed your seat in Jannah, this is wrong. 76 is not old. People are getting married when they're 76. They are in their prime of their youth. So you have to encourage your grandfather and remind him of Allah Azza wa Jal and pray for him. As for his second question, he says, Ashura. Ashura, is it a day of mourning or is it a day of happiness? It is neither. Ashura is neither. We don't express any happiness. We don't wear new clothes and give gifts away. And we don't definitely wear black and mourn and hit ourselves and bleed ourselves to death. All of this is, both sides are innovation. The only thing we do is we fast because the Prophet fasted it, alayhi salatu wasalam, and that is it. No special prayers, no gifts, no cooking food, and the likes. Haydar Ali says, can a man sign a prenup with the wife before marriage, stating that they will both hold only their own possessions in case of a divorce? This is not found in the Muslim country. This is found in the Kafir country. When a man marries a woman and after 10 years they get divorced, she takes half of the estate, half of his cars, half of his wealth. Why is that? They said she shared with... This is nonsense. In Islam, there's nothing as such. So if you're in the West and you're getting married, there is no problem at all in signing such a prenup so that you would avoid the possibility of someone taking your wealth unfairly. And there's nothing wrong in that, inshallah. Hassan says, should we do raml, involuntary tawaf? What is raml? Raml is to walk in a fast pace with short strides, as if you're jumping in your place. And you do this in the first 3 rounds of tawaf, not every tawaf. You do it in tawaf al-umrah, that's number 1, and you do it in tawaf al-qudum in hajj. Other than that, you do not do it. So you do not do it in tawaf al-wada', you do not do it in tawaf al-ifada, you do not do it in voluntary tawaf. Likewise, al-idtiba', which is exposing your right shoulder by putting the garment underneath your arm and exposing it. This you do only in tawaf al-qudum, in hajj, or in tawaf of al-umrah. The difference is that you do this ittiba' in the whole 7 rounds, while raml, the one you do with short strides and fast pace, you do it only in the first 3 rounds and then you walk normally. Jima says, if I have some savings, can I use these? Okay, the question is, I've got savings. Do I do Umrah with these savings and then save later on for a few years more for Hajj? Or should I utilize my savings to do my Hajj first? The answer is, Your Hajj is a pillar of Islam. Your Umrah is obligatory, but not a pillar. And hence, if you have savings that is sufficient to take you to Mecca to do Umrah, do not go for Umrah. Keep it, save a little bit more, and do the big thing, which is the Hajj. And afterwards, you can make as many Umrahs as you wish without any problem. So I'm afraid that this brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Until we meet same time next week, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.